Welcome back to episode 5 of the Two Red Cents podcast, where we live to have commentaries in rigorous fashion. Today we're going to talk about some pastime experiences and proclivities that may or may not have shaped some of our viewpoints as we've gotten older. And it starts with a two-part question.
Two-part question.
The two-part question is, number one, when was the first time that you were affected by alcohol? Like you drank and you got buzzed? Because, I can't say, the first time I drank was when I was, I don't know, a little kid. And can I taste that beer? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I taste it. I was like, ooh, this tastes like pee-pee. Kind of thing. Right? And so when was the first time that you got buzzed? And second part of the question, when was the first time you actually got drunk? Now, that could be the same answer. For me, it's not.
No, it's not the first. It's not the same answer.
Oh, no,
for me.
I'm sorry. The question was not when. It was what did you get buzzed off of the first time? What did you get drunk off of the second time? Or was it the same scenario we were talking about?
No, the first
brands.
time I was 14, hanging out at a friend's house, and I don't know, I guess somebody had taken a beer or something from their mom or a couple of beers. It was something stupid like Budweiser or Bud Light or Bush Light or some shit like that. Some cheap ass beer in a blue can. And I think I drank an entire one, just chugged it really quickly by myself, and I got buzzed. I didn't get drunk, but I was like, I can kind of feel this. This is weird, but.
So it was just one beer?
Yeah, one beer, but not, I wasn't drunk off of it. I don't really remember what the first thing I got drunk on was.
No, it doesn't that seem apropos?
Yeah,
you don't remember
right?
when you got fucked up for the first time? Well, how dare you?
Well, but you gotta also consider, at that age, it was pretty much once I was trying one thing, I was trying a lot of things. So a lot of things were kind of all blending together.
So there wasn't a gateway. It was just you're crossing the border into a whole.
Pretty much. Pretty much. I would say, I guess if there is a gateway, my gateway drug would have been, stealing cigarettes from the neighbor's, ashtray outside because they smoked like somebody else we know. We won't name names, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So it was easy to
we were smoking
go and get the cigarettes and but no, it was pretty much. I'm fairly certain that I was smoking pot way before I even got a beer.
Really?
Yeah. It was easier to get. It was easier to get than beer. It was illegal where beer was legal. So unless you knew somebody that was willing to buy it for you or had a fake ID or parents who drank, which a lot of parents didn't really,
It was actually the opposite here. Most of at least in the circles that I hung out with, most people didn't really smoke weed. That didn't come about until much later on. I'd seen somebody do it or whatever when I was a kid or whatever, but it wasn't talked about or whatever.
Yeah.
But what was different here is that at that time, you could go into a store. I remember buying cigarettes when I was 12 years old, and I was oh, well, they're for my dad. And they were okay. It wasn't, the ID requirement wasn't a thing then or whatever. Especially if you'd go in and buy a carton or something. Or ask for something very specific, you weren't weird about it. You're just I need a pack of, Marlboro Red Shorts.
Yeah, we knew the stores that would sell us cigarettes, even though we weren't old enough to be buying cigarettes. We had stores that would do that. Some places would sell beer, but that was a little bit later on. I was probably about 16 before there was really a regular kind of alcohol hookup of sorts,
Yeah, for me, other than taking a sip, it was freaking friend of mine had bought a couple bottles of the old Boone's Farm. I don't know why everyone does that to this day. They're like, I took a sip out. I was like, dude, this is great. This tastes like freaking Kool-Aid. It's awesome.
I never had an issue with the taste of Boone's Farm. It was the same thing. Like Boone's Farm and Di Serono, for whatever reason, both of those
Wait, on the rocks.
just like shots.
You remember those stupid ass commercials?
Yes. But both of those have the same effect on me for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. It's like it has a weird nerve tensing effect in my shoulders and in my neck, like from down here. Like every time I drink a certain amount, like any really amount of the Di Serono, like I can have like 1 or 2 drinks and I just start to like get weird cramps in the same places.
Weird.
Yeah, and Boone's Farm does it too. Those
your
are
body going, this is fucking poison.
Pretty much. I mean, and I've got a lot of poison in my body, so if it's telling me that this stuff isn't good,
it must be really bad.
Yeah. So again, it wasn't the taste. I mean, trust me, that was way better than drinking Montezuma tequila straight from the bottle. That's a bad taste,
Good.
But no, Boone's Farm's always. I thought that it was good. It just, my body did not like it. It had a reaction and it was like, nope, not good. So whatever. Yeah. So do you remember your first drinking? You said that it wasn't the same. So what were your first?
I mean, like, what wasn't
drinking
the same
experiences?
Like, obviously,
being
like,
drunk?
On the rare, because my dad's not a drinker, right? But on the rare occasion, he would crack open a beer. And trust me, you knew when he did. The Christmas party or something like that. Whew. I mean, motherfucker's like 6'5", 230 pounds, and he'd drink one beer, and you would think that he just, went to an Irish wedding or something. I mean, he was just gone.
Down to keg.
Yeah, he totally changed, Sometimes in mean ways. I remember he made me cry at one Christmas party because he was just acting so different. But, anyway, yeah, I mean, other than that, like, let me take a sip of that, or, like, my mom doesn't drink, so she would have, like, a fuzzy navel that would take her, like, 3 hours to finish.
Yeah.
You remember those ones with the golden foil and shit?
Oh, yeah.
I think I maybe took a drink from one of those, and was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good.
I did get your mom to drink.
Yeah. What's that?
I did get your mom to drink.
What did she drink?
I got her to drink, she had 2 glasses of wine. That was that night that I got her to stay the night here.
Yeah, didn't I get her to, like, smoke a joint, too, at one point, or a little bit of it?
Your dad, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, sidetrack.
It's weird when I even think about that.
I know, sorry,
my
sidetrack.
folks are, like, total freaking straight-edge boomers. Which, it's whatever. It's a personal thing. Yeah. Whatever. Like, there's no right or wrong, necessarily, to that. I mean, there can be. Whatever. That's a whole nother topic. Anyway. But yeah, so, it was Boone's Farm the first time that I got, like, buzzed. I think I drank, like, I was just drinking it from the bottle. Like, my friend went and bought maybe 3 bottles. And, I mean, he wasn't even 21. I'm not even exactly sure where he fucking got them. But, he was just like, here you go. And I was like, the old tops.
Was it strawberry?
It probably was, honestly. Like,
it was pink. Well, there were several pink ones.
It was pink.
Yeah.
I thought they were, like, all pink.
No, but they did have a couple of pink ones.
That's what I'm like. If Boone's Farm is listening, we're going to come out with the new absinthe Boone's Farm, dude. Fucking Slimer version neon green.
Recipe.
Oh, fuck, absinthe. That's a whole nother story. We won't even get into that. That was much later on down the road. But no, it was, that was like, I think I was like 12.
Yeah.
And I drank like half a bottle of it, and I remember thinking it tasted good, and I remember probably even saying stupid shit like, this doesn't even taste like alcohol, kind of thing, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was like 10 minutes later that I was, got up and my legs, they started moving, because my friend, he had a Super Nintendo. I didn't have a Super Nintendo. I was a Sega Genesis guy, but he had a Super Nintendo, and at some point he had plugged in freaking Super Castlevania 4. Now, if you know anything about Super Castlevania 4, the music on that fucking game is dope as shit, especially level 3. And and I just started like kind of dancing around. And I was like,
moving.
This is cool, man. I was like, boom, 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 boom. So that went on for, I don't know, probably like 2 minutes, but it seemed like 2 hours in my mind because I was having a good time. And then I probably passed out or whatever. I can't even remember what happened after that night, but it was fun. Then it was like a year later, I got with some delinquent friends of mine, and we made this whole mission, like planned it out, like to end up acquiring beer somehow without stealing it from my friend's alcoholic mom, because she knew, like kind of like how I know now. Like if there's a beer missing, I'm like, what the fuck, you know. But
I know how many beers I had.
And so we ended up getting 2 12-packs of Natty Ice. And we like strategically met up. I had one of them, he had the other, and there were 2 more friends with us. We strategically met up at this park down the street from my house at the time. And it would not be a stretch to say that in my mind the entire time. And of course I took them out of the box and had them in like a backpack and shit, you know. But at the time, I'm sure I was like playing the like Mission Impossible theme in my head as I'm walking through the neighborhood, and my backpack's going clankety clank, and I'm like, no, you have to be Shinobi, like gotta be silent, right? Or you know,
some kind of
probably the Perry Macy theme,
some kind of type thing, yeah.
So that kind of thing. Anyway, we get there, and yeah, we just start downing them, man, and it tasted like absolute fucking piss. Ugh, I mean, anyone that's had Natty Ice, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it did the trick, man, and I got freaking smashed. And that was the first time I remember actually being like smashed. Like, you know, like this is fun and goofy, but I'm like scared at the same time because I can't control my feet. Like, I thought my body was a moving with my leg braces, but like it's stuck. I mean, I actually look like Forrest Gump at some point in the night. You know, I don't know, but it that's the first time that I remember like actually drunk and being like, oh, I've entered another reality kind of thing.
Yeah. So do you remember the first time that you got do you remember the first time that you threw up from drinking?
Dude, that's a tall order. Like, I'm not even sure I remember the last time I threw up from drinking, let alone fucking 20 years ago.
I do remember the first time.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember, but let's tell us about your Alice in Wonderland story.
Oh no, it's not interesting. I just remember
because I'm serious. I don't actually remember the first time.
Yeah, the first time I was probably about 16, hanging out at a friend's house whose parents weren't always around, and like it was easy to get access to beer and such. And it just
the unmentionables.
Yeah, and it just been kind of just day drinking while their parents were out. And
wait, how old were you?
Probably about 16.
You delinquent.
I know, but I wasn't driving.
Well,
I did not drive. Well, I did have a car, and I was driving at 16, but I was not drinking and driving.
Right.
We had a designated driver. We always had a designated driver. We always did that. But yeah, just kind of like day drinking, and didn't really realize that day drinking is a whole different ball game.
Yes, it is.
It really is. During, hot Oklahoma summer day, and I just remember like throwing up in their bathroom and being like, they have a nice toilet.
Always with the positive perspective, she is.
It was like an old, house probably around our ages, I guess. So it was
like
older.
Our ages now, like ancient, or like
no, like the age of our house. Like, I mean, so it was like it still had like the vintage kind of bathroom.
Right,
like
not like one of
60s-ish.
those newfangled toilets that you absolutely cannot throw up in because just the way that they're formed, there's like, oh
They're
no,
not.
I gotta go outside, I guess.
No, and because again, like people were shorter back then. I'm very short, so when if I'm having to throw up at
That makes
somebody's
sense.
house,
No, I get
like
you.
I'm obviously sitting down. I don't want to have to be sitting up, like all
Oh wait, so you
trying to
didn't just
stretch
throw
over.
up, you like went down, like you
Yes.
leaned on the fucking
Yeah,
toilet.
like it was like a full blown, like I'm sitting on the floor, like throwing, and it was in the toilet, and it was like very clean. So I was like, that's very nice.
Well, that does
this is
remind me
nice.
of one of the first times. Now that you mentioned that, because I was always a stickler for trying to not do. I remember even being as a kid and actually being sick with like stomach flu or something like that. I was always like weird about getting on the floor and getting that close to the toilet, so I would
Yeah.
stand up in the lean over position. And then one time I was in this diner. I was like 18. Went there after some whatever. I barely even remember what happened before we got there. I knew I shouldn't have eaten though. I'll tell you that. And I was just sitting there, and we were all hanging out, everybody laughing, having this and that. 24-hour diner, and I just felt it coming on. You know, when it comes on, it's just like it's like a wave.
Yep.
And so I got up, right? And I was like, all right, I'm going to make it to the bathroom. This bathroom was probably 20 feet away. I got 10 feet away. And just so happened where 10 feet was the lobby of this diner where everyone was getting their to-go food and stuff, and they would check out. So there were a bunch of people standing there. This is like, 1 o'clock in the morning. And right when I walked into there, I went, and a little bit of throw up shot out of my mouth, hit the floor, and everybody scattered like roaches, and they all screamed at me, oh shit, he's sick, he's sick. And of course, when someone says that to you when you're drunk, it makes you more sick and more paranoid. So then I got doubly sick, jetted to the bathroom. The toilet was literally like 2 feet from the sink, but I couldn't make it. I puked all in the sink. And then I remember there wasn't a lock on the bathroom door, so I felt so embarrassed about puking in the sink because it was nasty that I like tried to start putting like the trash can and stuff in front of the door, like that would block somebody from coming in. Because I felt bad, man. So I started, sick as a dog, started trying to clean it up. You know how that is.
Yeah.
And like people were like pushing on the door, the trash can's moving. And I'm like, fucking trash can just moved by itself. Like while I'm trying to do all that shit. Yeah, it was not good. Say no to the drink, kids. Say no to the drink.
Yeah.
It was not a good situation. But lesson learned. But yeah, even with that, it's like horrible as it was at the time. And it's happened, obviously gotten sick from drinking or whatever. I think a lot of people do that drink. And again, this is why, like, don't drink just to drink or whatever. People probably shouldn't drink at all. I don't know. But typically what will cause that kind of thing with me is some kind of like emotional shit. Like I get a thought in my head or some kind of embarrassment or I'm thinking about something or whatever. And then it just goes off the rails. Like then it's like physically I respond, oh shit,
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what I was thinking about at the time. I don't remember, but a lot of times that's what happens with people is so I think with drinking, what happens, especially with addicts and especially with people that have experienced trauma, is that the initial phase is covering up that trauma, the loosening up phase. And then the second phase is that, well, if you happen to remember any of that trauma, like it's going to affect you way worse than it would if you're,
not drinking,
not fucking
not
drinking.
impaired in some kind of way.
So maybe that's what happened that night. And it's happened in subsequent times. I don't know. I guess that brings me to my next question. First, tell me about the first fight that you can remember getting in, like physical fight. That's a long pause. Cap that at 2010. Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember. I don't know, because I got in physical fights with my brother a lot, like at a very young age. I mean, I remember being like freaking 6 years old and him wrapping a wet rope around my neck and like ripping it off so much that the school thought I had tried to hang myself and they called CPS to come
How
and
old were you?
investigate. Like 7. I mean, like we
Breaking news. Local 7-year-old tries to
hang herself. Yeah, I mean that's what they thought. I mean, or that somebody was like strangling me. I mean, I had rope burn, but it was wet rope burn, which is like,
sweetie, do you need me to call somebody?
Like, no, I'm good. My brother just strangled me with a rope. Yeah.
Likely fucking story.
Right.
I'm going to need to call your dad and bring him in here.
But no, I mean, he and I got in, I mean.
I know. Well, that shit happened, man.
Yeah, so I don't really remember my first, like, physical fight, because.
Well, like in my, okay, so let me ask this another way. Because I'm
my first fight with somebody else other than, like, my brother.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. That's what I guess I should have clarified the trauma. Like for me, for example, other than, systematic abuse.
Yeah, tell me about yours.
No. Like, you go ahead. I'll try
and think of mine. You tell me about yours.
Oh, it was clear as day. I mean, other than, just like family fights or abuse, as a little kid. Cause I wasn't fighting back, right? Other than that, like the first time I remember putting my dukes up, I was like 5 years old and thinking that I was gonna wreck this kid until I got hit the first time. His name was Brian. We were living in an apartment complex, which we'll just say was pretty low income, pretty, not that income has anything to do with morality of people or whatever, but people were stressed the fuck out. Parents were stressed out, and subsequently their kids were stressed out, and everyone around there was stressed out because everyone was poor, right? Anyway, and it was because he had a jam box, right? Remember those? And, D-cell batteries probably took like 6 or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, he was playing the Axel Foley theme. And, for those that aren't familiar, look up the Axel Foley theme. You'll know it. Yeah, you'll get it. Anyway, so he was all into breakdancing. White kid, by the way.
Yeah.
White trash. Only white kid in the apartment complex, actually, other than me, I guess. Only one I saw. But and the reason I bring that up is because he was out there trying to break dance.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, for some reason, I started break dancing, and I had some kind of natural affinity for it.
Well,
and once again, my legs was moving, but my shoulders were moving. I don't know. And he got mad at me because I was like breakdancing, I guess, fairly well, because all the other kids were like, cheering and this and that. And we were all having fun or whatever. And he just hauled off and fucking punched me right in the face. And it was the first time I had ever been like punched squarely in the face. And it felt nothing like I thought it would feel. It still doesn't to this day. I mean, I haven't been hit a long time. I hope I'm not, but I remember distinctly the first time getting like hit square across the jaw. And thinking that it would sound like it did in like Tom and Jerry or the movies where it's like, but it didn't at all. All it did was like made my brain hurt.
Yeah.
Like an earthquake went off inside of my head. It really sucked, actually. And I started getting the angry tears, and I think I maybe started doing the windmill or whatever.
Yeah.
Just flailing about. And then he just pushed me down pushed me down, punched me a couple times. I think he was punching me in the stomach because back in the 80s, children, for all y'all that you don't know, you wouldn't get on top of somebody and beat their fucking face in on the concrete. You could just punch them in the stomach and they would give up. Like, you didn't have to do like a ton of damage.
You didn't have to kill them.
Right. You know,
just figure them for
lesson
life.
learned for all you young bucks out there. Like, listen, man.
Just fucking buck up and do it.
Yeah. You can make someone submit without, like, you know, causing permanent brain damage or fucking murdering them. So just, anyway, especially at that point. But, yeah, again, that was my first fight. And, well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't call it a fight because I didn't even get any hits. But I just remember getting hit and thinking, this felt nothing like I thought it was going to feel. Like, really getting hit. So that was kind of weird. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know, because I have kind of like different ones. Like, I remember the first time that I got physical with somebody, I was probably like 9 or 10 years old at church camp.
That one time?
With
church camp?
and it was with a guy because he had been picking on my brother. He was just being a
Wait. You got in a fight with a guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Just for the record, I'm gonna go ahead and reframe that. If he hits you, he's a coward, not a guy. We'll refer to him as coward from now on.
Well, no. You see what had happened was
bitch ass motherfucker would be a better term.
No, he was a jerk. So he had been being jerky, and I called him on his jerkiness, and I went up to him and I just fucking just kicked him in his stomach.
What kind of kick? Front kick, side kick, toe kick? Probably a toe kick if you're that little. How old were you?
About 9. No, it was like a kind of a side kick. And I could actually kick pretty high.
Roundhouse?
Yeah. And funny enough, I know I ran into him later in life. He was like, yeah, I still have a little scar from your jelly when you kicked me.
You were wearing a jelly?
Yeah.
I believe
and the little heel part of those, if they were newer, yeah, they could be pretty sharp. They actually could be. So
the lethal jellies.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know jellies had heels. I thought they were all flat.
Not all of them.
Oh, they were.
No,
and
not like big heels, but they just had a little.
Clickety clack.
Yeah, a little. The ladies out there will know. There was some of them had a little
all
thing
the ladies.
on there. Yeah, there was a little thing.
All ladies chime in about the click clack jellies.
Was there, or is this a Mandela effect? But I'm pretty sure that they had the little thing on the heel.
I think it's the same fucking shit now. Why, for example, why are all these little, excuse my French, but bitch ass fucking keyboard warriors out there that think they can say whatever the fuck they want and nothing will ever happen to them and that kind of thing. It's like, dude, how about just not take it there at all?
Yeah.
How about just try to be a little bit cool? Even if you're pissed, even if you disagree, cool, whatever. But
you don't have to be a total dick about
every
things.
fucking word out of your mouth is completely degrading and insulting, and you do not expect a response from someone. It's like, man, dude, this is basic. This has nothing to do with language or even humanity. This is basic human shit. Just don't treat people like crap. If someone pisses you off, maybe it's better to not jump immediately to the whole, verbal assaultage or physical assaultage or whatever it is, because put it this way, when conversation ends, violence begins. That's the bottom line. And that's been true throughout all of humanity.
Yes.
This is why, we're in the situation that we're in now, in terms of, it's the same situation we've always been in. And I'm not necessarily talking politically. I'm talking about, monarchly or just, class shit. Fucking weak ass people can say whatever they want. And it doesn't change anything, but yet we still respond in the same way. I know that sounds vague. Let me try to put it another way. So, and this is all really because of the internet as well. So let me give you an example. So for example, let's say the year is 1836. And it just so happens that I was given a book that I've never read before. And this book has all of these points of view, all of these opinions in it that are completely contradictory to my family's well-being. Well, I'm probably going to read that and take offense to it, you know, and there's going to be an emotional stir. Like, let's say I'm on a farm somewhere, you know, we're raising our family, everything's good. And then I just happen to get a hold of this book, and it says, oh, well, it's completely within my right as the Duke of freaking, you know, Shangri-La or whatever it is, to walk onto your farm and to take your 10-year-old daughter and marry her if I wish, because that is my right. You know, obviously I'm going to get fucking emotionally offended by that and be like, the fuck you are.
Yeah.
You know? Now, this is the same thing as what's happening now. It's just people say whatever the fuck they want with basically no consequences. And they don't, when they're confronted with an actual response,
right,
it's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, you're being fucking toxic or whatever. It's like, no, motherfucker, like, you said something fucking stupid. And now you're getting what you wanted.
Right.
Like you wanted the response, because if you didn't want a response, you wouldn't have said it, because it's attention-seeking bullshit.
It
right?
is. It's exactly what it is.
But now you're getting the fucking response.
Yeah.
And now you're complaining and being like, well, I'm a victim. Motherfucker. No, see, you can't be a victim and run your mouth. You can't do both, because victims don't have the right or the opportunity to run their mouth.
Exactly.
Because if they do run their mouth, they get a bullet through their head or whatever.
Right.
And you know, in fucking, you know, communist societies and Nazi societies and shit like that, right? Like, you can't say shit, right? So it's not the same fucking thing. I know I'm going off on a tangent here. Now we're getting into the dark realm. Started off funny, getting into the ninth circle of hell. But that is the way it is. This shit just pisses me off. Like, dude, civilized society also means being civilized. You can't have it both ways.
No,
if you want to act like an uncivilized jerk, then you're going to have to act. You're going to have to understand that there's going to be a normal response from people that you have upset by being uncivilized.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really simple.
It's like,
and it should be,
like what we used to say when, you know, we'd say, you know, don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash.
Right. That's it.
You know, and they don't understand that. When you come around knocking to cash that check in, they're like, what? No.
Yeah, you're in the negative, motherfucker.
It's like, well, you wrote it. You wrote it. Sorry.
Your bitch ass owes me
exactly.
a lot
It
of
makes
overdraft.
even more sense now, considering that it's, you know, not even, people aren't even talking face to face with that. Now they're actually writing their shit. So yeah, maybe that was a predictive saying that we had back then. We knew that at some point it would evolve into, it's like, don't let your mouth write
a check you're asking.
Yep.
But
they're all writing now, but we actually used to talk. I know. It's like, don't run your mouth. Don't run your mouth.
And the reason that has changed is because obviously the gratuitous amount of easy communication, right? But the platitude stays the same. And like, that's another thing. There's a whole thing about like, oh, they're all dumbasses, right? And you know, anybody. No, they know a lot more than we do on certain subjects. But this particular subject about keeping society kind of civil and together, it is going way off the rails because they don't know any better, you know? And all we can do for all of you parents out there that hopefully are listening is make that one thing very, very important. That civility, combined with intelligence, combined with empathy, combined with the knowledge of history, can make your child's communication much more cohesive, much more meaningful for the future of the world. And if you don't do that, and you're just letting them like hang out on the internet all day and, you know, hear people talk shit, guess what? They're probably going to do the same thing. So get off your ass.
Call them on their shit.
Teach them,
I know.
Like, they don't
It's like,
know.
I know, but those are always teaching moments, you know? Again, it's like, to some degree, you do have to kind of call them on when they're just being completely ridiculous or absurd in some way, to just be like, no, we are the parents, and we are like this. You have to listen because we are teaching you a lesson right now. This is not going to be good for you. If you do this out in the real world, there's going to be a lot of negative results from it.
I know, but just
so we
like
have to
any
enforce
teenager,
that.
like
Yeah.
we did at that time, we would just blow it off. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So my suggestion would be to talk to them
Yeah.
about your own vulnerabilities and things that you've already experienced, just like
We
you
do.
know, hopefully,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
we
we
try,
definitely
you know,
do,
but
yeah.
like before that, you know, I don't know. I mean, my parents didn't really do it, but I've known parents that have, you know, boomer parents that have done it and be like, don't make the same mistakes that I did, kind of thing. And put it this way, have a relationship, an honest relationship with your children. Don't pretend or act like with your children that you are, you know, holier than thou, or that your word is everything. You know, there's times that you can do that, and you'll know because there's times that you know you're right.
Yeah.
But there's also times where it's completely appropriate and advantageous to your child's development to be vulnerable and to say, hey, that reminds me of a time when I did this. That reminds me of a time when I made this mistake, or, you know, that reminds me of a time when I really hurt someone and I didn't want to, and all that kind of stuff.
You have to actually really, you know, and this is one thing that, you know, if I were to give any kind of a parenting advice, not that I necessarily can or should or would, but it's
you're good.
Having
You're awesome.
like actual conversations with your children. Don't talk to them like they're children. Talk to them like they're other humans, like they are. I mean, yes, they are your children, and there is a time to parent, but there's also a time to just exist as another person with them and show them how people interact.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
That's one thing that I think a lot of parents don't. I mean, we unfortunately know.
Well, I think
that don't really, you know.
I would say that it should be humanity first, child second, right? Now, that being said, children say a lot of dumbass, stupid shit.
Yes, they do.
So it's like, and I mean, a lot, right? And so
sometimes they have brilliant ideas and thoughts.
I think if you, they do. If you let them be free enough to feel comfortable to express themselves, you know, in the wonderment that a child has, and not their jaded ass mind that we have, you can learn a lot. So it's both.
Which is how you learn that just from trusting and talking to them, like as a person, you know. It's like, because that's where they're like, oh, because that's who they can be naturally. It doesn't necessarily matter about their age or, you know, like what they're going, you know. It's like, it's just, oh, this is my life. This is where I'm at right now in my life. So this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, because they feel like a person, not like necessarily, you know, well, how is it because of you're doing this or you're doing that? You know, it's just, I don't know.
Well, you're right.
Not quite explaining it exactly as eloquently as I'm trying to.
I think you're absolutely right. And I would say this is that, you know, don't imagine or even try to dictate or, you know, what the experience that a child has is no different than the experience that another human has. It's all different. There's no way we can know exactly what they experience all the time. So don't try to teach your children what to experience. Try to teach them how to experience things with grace. That's all. That's all. And that's all any of us can do. And hopefully we, you know, as adults, we do that with each other in our professions, in our normal interactions, and with our children, without everything.
In our everyday lives.
Like, just,
I mean, heck, I even have conversation with the animals. You've seen me.
Oh, yeah,
I talk to all of them.
Yeah, it's fine. And they understand.
Yeah, but I mean, conversation is the most important thing with any kind of relationship with any human, whether it's a spouse, a friend, a child, it's
Within conversation, I would say humility is like a super important thing as well, if not the most important thing, because here's the thing. Nowadays, a lot of youngsters are convinced that it's what they say and how they say it that is going to get them clout and to get them views and to get them, like it's all about that. But it's actually not about that.
No.
It's about experience, connecting with one another. It's about empathy. It's not about necessarily what you say. It's how you say it. And that sounds very tropey and trivial and basic, but it's actually very true.
It is.
And I mean, I experience this on a daily basis with my job, and I have to catch myself a lot because I'm in a job to where I'm front facing with patrons, and I can change the interaction sometimes inadvertently by just the way that I say it. Hey, how's it going? Sometimes if I'm extremely busy or frustrated about something, someone will come in and I'll be like, hey, how's it going? And then immediately I know that I said that the wrong way, as opposed to me saying, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
It's totally different. It's that simple. It's a choice for all of us. Bottom line is, don't be a dick to one another, especially your children. So hopefully y'all learned something on this little rant. Do appreciate you sticking with us, who have so far. And any closing remarks for the lovely ones out there? Because we love you all so much. We really do. I love them all. I love everybody.
Yeah.
I love it all. I really do.
I do too.
Except for the people that I want to fucking smash in the face because they,
You deserve it though. That's different.
Yeah. Some people do fucking deserve it.
Some people do.
But whatever. I don't love you fuckers. But everyone else, it's cool. Like, y'all are awesome. I bid you adieu.
Stop doing yourself.